Bullying is when a bully repeatedly harasses or physically harms another person who cannot easily defend him or herself. It involves a power imbalance between the bully and victim or target, because sometimes a bully can be physically stronger or intimidating in some way. Bullying can be physical, such as hitting, or it can be verbal, such as name-calling, or relational, such as destroying a relationship between friends. Today, I'm going to be talking to Holocaust survivors about bullying that they've experienced. So I'm going to talk first about the pyramid of hate so you can see the connection between bullying and genocide. So with the pyramid of hate, you can see that on the bottom it starts with bias, and then it goes the whole way up to the top with genocide. So let's talk a little bit about each level, starting at the bottom with bias. This includes things such as stereotyping, making insensitive remarks, and seeking out like-minded people. So when you do this, then it becomes the norm because the like-minded people are agreeing with you. Individual acts of prejudice is the next level, and this is bullying, name-calling, and dehumanization. And with dehumanization, this is when you think of the other person as being less than you. So then it makes it easier to treat them not as well because you don't even think of them as being the same as you. And the next level is discrimination. And this involves segregation. With segregation, you're actually not even being around certain people. And this can involve segregation where you work, go to school, and where you live. And the next level is bias-motivated violence. And this involves threats or terrorism. And in this level, someone actually can hurt someone else. And then the very top and final level is genocide. And this is the act or intent to deliberately and systematically annihilate an entire people. So you can see how in some cases bullying can lead to violence. So think of school shootings because of bullying, and maybe even fights at school that you've witnessed because of bullying. Not only does bullying have the potential to lead to violence, but it also can cause the victim or target, the bystanders, and even in some cases a bully to feel angry, depressed, or suicidal. So it's important that we all work together to try to stop bullying. Bullies need to be corrected and taught how to be kind and empathetic. Victims or targets need to learn what to do if they are bullied. And bystanders need to understand that they have an important role in sticking up for the victim or target, getting help from adults, and not supporting the bully.
My name is Solonge Lebovitz. I was born in Paris, France, but my parents emigrated from Seagate, Transylvania to France with 4 children in the late 1920s. I was a sickly child, so I was not in Paris at the time when war was declared in 1939. And eventually when I went home, of course, the war was over because Maréchal Philippe Pétain signed an armistice at Compiègne. And one of my sisters had married a Hungarian man, and he had volunteered for the Foreign Legion. So he was taken prisoner of war in Germany. And she had a baby, and the baby wasn't feeling well. The doctor recommended she should go to the countryside. So my mother on a visit took me, and I stayed there. And afterwards, they came to arrest her, but they left me with the baby with a neighbor. Fortunately, there was a man, Mr. Moreau, who had a car in the very, very remote little village. Nobody ever knew what a Jew was. There were no Germans. So when they took my sister to the nearest, biggest village, Mr. Moreau called the mayor, and I think he was also in the resistance, so that they brought her back before they had a chance to deport her. And when we went to Paris right away, my family had gone already in hiding. So a woman, a Catholic woman, I have to skip all the details, took me to Normandy. And I stayed with that gentle, Catholic couple, older couple, in Couterne, Normandy. I stayed with them about 2.5 years. I went to church every Sunday. I went to school, and there was, of course, D-Day in 1944, and we were liberated August 13, 1944. And I was not able to go back to Paris until December 1944. During that period of time, of course, I didn't know what happened to my parents. And eventually, my father came and picked me up. And it was a miracle because the whole family, we were 6 children, and my mother and father, and we were reunited. I read a book about the little girl in the green sweater. She ate with her parents in a sewer with rats as companion. When finally the war was over, her parents didn't have any more money. They had paid a worker of the sewers to bring them food. Now she had to go to school and didn't have any shoes. And she was very ashamed, afraid of the other girls looking at her. Her green tattered sweater is at the Holocaust Museum, by the way, in Washington, D.C. So it is very important not to bully anyone, to be tolerant and sensitive to others' problems. You do not know their circumstances, and if you want to live in a peaceful world, you must show kindness to everyone. At first, I did not remember anything, but words have a life of their own, and they linger. Well, I don't think I was ever bullied yet. I do remember that as a small child, going home from school, I would hear boys singing a derogatory song detrimental to me, mocking me. I had bright red hair, so instead of saying elle est rousse and has red hair, they called me Rouquine. In the song, which to this day I do not understand. And since I was extremely shy, I would get red in the face and felt ashamed. This afflicted me later when I had to wear the Jewish yellow star, the Star of David, during the Second World War. I was living at the time with one of my sisters who was married. Her husband became a prisoner of war, and she had a baby boy. We lived in a very remote little village where people had never met a Jew, and there were no German soldiers there. I wore my Jewish star sewn on a sweater at a big country fair. Everybody looked at me. I was so embarrassed and felt like a trapped animal. I decided never to wear it again. I was too young to know that I should have been proud of my identity. When I went to the school in that part of the country, the teacher sat me in the last row, and I couldn't see well the writing on the blackboard. And then she called me to identify something about geometry on the blackboard. And since I didn't know, all the students laughed at me. But at recess, we all played ball together in the courtyard. It didn't matter. Well, I would say that for younger generation, first of all, they shouldn't bully in school. They should be very careful who their friends are, because you also have in the United States a lot of neo-Nazi always waiting for the occasion to rise with maybe Muslim or others, because there is a big problem all over Europe and even in the United States. So young people, because I did read something about a young girl who met someone on the, on the computer, and a Muslim, and got so impressed practically that she was going already with their thoughts. So I would say that young people have to be very careful, and they should never bully. I mean, this is horrible, because eventually I think it can lead to genocide.